Hi, guess what? Today's video is all about homeschooling. So if you're in an RV and you're wanting to hear all about stuff in an RV, this video is probably not for you. It is for your homeschool friends though, or maybe you're wanting to homeschool your kids while you're out on the RV. That's why I did this video, because we've been homeschooling for 9 years and I wanted to share with you guys what we started at, what we used, all the things we've gone through, because when we began, we were actually truck drivers living the nomadic lifestyle while we were working with our child on the truck, and we homeschooled her 1st through 5th grade. So I wanted to give you guys some backstory to us and tell you all the products we used, and then I'm going to tell you towards the end what we're doing in the future. I throw in a few little truck driving stories here and there. And so if you want to take a listen, go ahead. I would appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know when new videos are coming out from us. All right. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Bye. Or see you in a second. We've been homeschooling our daughter since 1st grade. I'm going to talk about what we did in the beginning, and then when we were no longer traveling over the road, what we've done in a stationary home, and then what we plan to do for when she is a senior in high school and we start traveling again, but this time in an RV. So part of our story is that we have been truck drivers since before my daughter was born. When my daughter was 5.5, I started looking for a company for my husband to work at locally that would allow him to be home more often. We found a job actually that allowed children to be on the truck. So I had kept my CDL license. So we chose to drive as a team, my husband and I drove at night, he drove during the day, and then we homeschooled our daughter. Well, when we left in the spring of 2010, she wasn't in school yet. We had known that we were going to be doing this, so I never put her into kindergarten. So in each state, there's different requirements to homeschooling. What happens is each state then determines, what you have to report, how you have to report it, what you have to submit. In the state of Texas, if your child never goes into the public school system, you don't have to actually then pull them out. So I knew that I was going to homeschool her while we were driving on the truck. My choice was I never even put her in kindergarten. I just taught her at home. When we went out on the road, it was in March of 2010, so she would have been almost finishing her kindergarten year. We started 1st grade in September of 2010. Well, because she was confined in the truck, she finished 1st and 2nd grade in 12 months. I just kept going. There was no point to have a summer vacation. Not in my mind, because we were in the truck 24 hours a day with each other, traveling the country. I'll put a picture of what we used right over here, and it was called Horizons. What they created in Horizons was a 12 booklet curriculum per year per subject. So 1st grade actually had 5 subjects. I think there was math, history, science, language arts, and Bible. And what's so funny is when I went to school, it was called English. But now they call it language arts, which is fine. But my daughter does not like it if you try to call it English. Still to this day, 15 years old, she don't want you calling it English. It's so funny. Okay. She sat in the passenger seat next to me, and I basically taught her while she sat there. I used mile markers to teach counting. Those are the little green signs on the side of the road. I used ketchup packets and relish packets and things that you would find at the condiment bar at a Subway in a truck stop. So I would be ordering us sandwiches, and I would have her counting or adding and subtracting different kinds of condiment packages. I used everything I could think of to teach her. We also learned how to read through road signs. So I was using everything available to me to teach her, but I was relying on curriculum to give her grades. Now, I chose to give her grades 1st and 2nd grade. That's just me. Some people don't like to do that. I did because that's my personality. I love to check off boxes. Some people try to run from checking off boxes, and that actually makes them feel very uncomfortable. But for my personality, I definitely enjoyed it. I wanted to know what needed to be accomplished, and that way, when we checked it off, when that assignment got done and I gave a grade to it, and basically, what was it? She completed a test at the end of every 4 pages or something. Well, she did that for 3 years. Horizons, under, alpha, omega for 3 years. First, second, and third grade. Well, by that time, I was like, she's not getting enough reading in, because there were excerpts of things in that curriculum, in these booklets, and it was very good information. We had wonderful family discussions, but she wasn't reading enough. And being truck drivers, I didn't think it was very smart to try and go get library books, because what if I couldn't return them? We couldn't guarantee that we could get to a post office in order to return them. I didn't want to check them out over and over and over again. I didn't want to have to remember to do that. And we were making very good money, and we only had one child to buy books for. So I was like, well, I need to find a curriculum that sells reading as part of its teaching method. I think that we made some good choices, but we did have to change curriculums in the middle a few times. And I was completely okay with that, because I'd rather her learn and get the best out of her education versus me trying to force something just because I spent money on it. Now, if you have a large family, that might be different. You might have to have more criteria met before you move from one curriculum to another. Let's say you have 4 children. One curriculum may not work for your oldest child, but it may work for your third oldest child, right? What I decided to do was do some research on curriculums that did a lot of books. The curriculum that I found and that we actually used for another 3 years is called Sunlight, and I'll put a link to their logo right here. I'll put description links in the bottom. I'm not affiliated with any of these curriculums. I'm just letting you guys know what we got into, what we used. So we started Sunlight actually in 3rd grade, but I had already purchased Horizons 3rd grade. Well, Olivia then completed both. And part of that is because she was confined to the seat next to me. She couldn't go anywhere. And we had basically, I don't know, anywhere between 6 and 8 hours a day. Now, we stopped at rest areas. We stopped quite a bit, actually, because we had dogs. And so we had to take them out. We would go walk around rest areas. We would go check different things out. She didn't feel at that time, at that age, she didn't feel overwhelmed. She was kind of excited and wanted to consume everything she could. So for 3rd grade, she did complete both the Horizons booklet, workbook style, 5 subjects, again, history, science, language arts, math, and Bible. If you go and look at Sunlight's website, they categorize them by grade, but then they also label them by letter. And the one I purchased for her was a combined year for 3rd grade, and it was letters B and C, and it covered world history. And she actually she consumed that like crazy. She loved that stuff. But I remember that we live in Fort Worth, but down in Houston, I guess in 2013, as a family, we went down there because they had the mummy exhibit, Tutankhamun or whatever his name is. The point is, we went down there as a family because I thought, it's not going to be this close again. We need to go down there. And she was so ripe for education. She wanted so much to just consume everything she could. We then did letters D and E, which were 2 years of American history. And I thought, this is the best time in the whole world to do American history with a child, because we're traveling the country. I mean, she got to see some of the most amazing things that were directly connected to her education. And one of the best stories we have is there's a place on Interstate 80, I don't know, between Central and West Nebraska. And I can't think of the name of the town, but they have like a little tiny truck stop and a Pizza Hut and a hotel. And right behind it is a place called the Sod Museum. Sod Museum, okay? So it's where they have a replica of a sod house that people, the settlers or the, new people that were coming across the country and moving west and settling farms and everything, and they lived in these houses made of sod, okay? Well, we were reading a book that talked about that. And my husband goes, oh my gosh, like in an hour, we're going to be actually driving past that museum, Michelle. That's like so cool. So she got to actually connect something in real life to a book she was reading. And at the time, I recognized how amazing the opportunity was that we had at this point. Like, it was amazing for her. American history was so personal to her because she got to travel the country. I do expect that we're going to have really awesome experiences moving forward as we go back out on the road with an almost adult and getting to go to museums and seeing the country again. But really what was the biggest impact was traveling the country and putting state names and areas. We did do a lot of deliveries in the Northeast, and so we were able to see those areas that were being talked about in her American history books. Each year comes with 42 books, like books to read, and most of them are Newbery award-winning books. And I started really relying on that company to find the books for me, and we read those books as a family. And I remember where Brian would be driving and I would be in the passenger seat. It wasn't my shift yet, and Olivia'd be awake and I'd be reading to Olivia. And then what we would do is I would ask her comprehension questions and we would discuss the book. Well, Brian was so funny because he would end up having to go to sleep for his shift. And as Olivia's learning to read, she would read a few pages to me while I was driving, and we would continue discussing it. And Brian would say, "Don't read any more of that book until I'm awake tomorrow." I will tell you this. The benefit of reading to your children is huge. It will impact their lives on such a foundational level that you can't ever take that away from them. The love that they have hearing their parents read a story and then discuss the characters, it's impactful and it cannot be taken lightly. Not at all. It's something that has been one of the biggest memories we have of being out on the road. And in fact, we plan on reading books together when we start traveling and going on travel days. You know, we'll be in the pickup truck going from one location to another. We plan on, instead of audio books, which are fine, but we plan on actually reading to each other because it's just a different experience. I don't know how to explain it. When you try it, comment below and tell me what you think about it because it's really awesome. Okay, so we did sunlight for letters B and C combined, and then D was 1 year, E was the next year, and I think E would have been then 5th grade. We went to do letter F, and letter F was an odd year that didn't really fit in, and I purchased it, but I didn't like it. And again, it wasn't because of the company, it was just the direction they were going, and I didn't really want to go that direction yet, and I don't even know if it's still the same, so I won't even discuss it. But I was able to return it, full refund, because I didn't care for it. And what I actually did was I bought the next letter in preparation for her to then read that. So now we're looking at 6th grade. I started kind of piecemealing things together. I actually went to my first homeschool convention in Georgia because we just happened to be in the Atlanta area when one was happening. And my mom had said, you know, you really should invest in yourself as the teacher. In fact, next week I'm going to my 6th homeschool convention because I like them that much. What I have figured out is if you volunteer, you get your ticket for free. So you work 4 hours, and this is at the Great Homeschool Convention here in the Fort Worth area. It's every year in March. This is the thing. There's so many amazing speakers and so many varied, vast array of topics. 20, 25 years ago, parents that were educated and wanted to homeschool their kids, when they couldn't find something, they set out and created it. That's my favorite part about homeschooling, is that a lot of these curriculums have been created by maybe a science teacher, maybe a dad was a science teacher or an engineer, or mom was an English teacher, and they felt that there was a piece missing out in the marketplace, and so they created something. There's so many different things that are made available now, and some of the best parts of going to a homeschool convention are actually walking around the expo part of it and looking at all of the stuff that they have, physically touching the curriculum, right? Opening it up, looking and see, comparing this science to that science, comparing this math, this way of doing math with that way of doing math, all kinds of stuff. It's just amazing. Now, we teach Olivia in the classical education format. What that means basically to me, this is what it means to me. You can go look it up for yourself. But it basically means to me that Latin is taught. I wanted her to learn Latin. for my own reasons. She wanted to do it, and so I thought, if she wants to, why not? A lot of people that are classically educating their children start Latin early. I want to say maybe 4th or 5th grade. But I would buy the curriculum and I could not teach it to her. Like, I couldn't get past lesson 6. I just was not there mentally. I just could not do it. But instead of feeling defeated, what I chose to do was I put her in an online class. Well, she's in 10th grade now, and she is finishing her 4th year of Latin. The coolest part about this is that she's had the same teacher all 4 years. And that teacher actually, for the first 2 years, lived in Australia. And then these last 2 years, she's lived in Ireland. And she and her husband actually are getting their doctorate degrees in something like Celtic studies. I don't know. It's something that I would never do myself, but it's their dream. And they're teaching other kids online. So they've got a job teaching online, right? A talent or a skill that they have. They can speak Latin. They can teach Latin. They can teach the grammar parts of Latin. They can teach all of those hard things that help students do better on SATs, that help them figure out words a lot better, that because it's the foundation of our language. Well, these teachers are able to do this from anywhere. Like, oh my gosh. So going into 6th grade, her math changed. I went from Horizons to a program called Math UC. Well, she was in pre-algebra early. Like, she's been doing math early. That doesn't mean she likes it. In fact, she does not like math at all, but she's doing everything early. All right, got to correct myself. So we did teaching textbooks for 6th and 7th grade. Then we did teaching textbooks for pre-algebra. I didn't think that she got the information. We moved over into Math UC. So teaching textbooks is the one that has the video portion to it. And it worked well in the beginning, but then I just didn't think that she got it full enough that I knew she could go into Algebra 1 outside of both of these curriculums. I wasn't going to do Algebra 1, I didn't think, with Math UC or teaching textbooks. Then we went into Math UC. She did do pre-algebra and Algebra 1 in Math UC. Did well. Again, she's getting decent grades. I mean, everything like above a 93, which is good. That's what I want her to do. But I still want her to know the information. I don't want her just to memorize it for the test. I then chose Jacob's Geometry for her geometry, and that was all textbook. No videos. We did buy videos to go with that, but they didn't make any sense at all. And I didn't realize that there's a whole bunch of logical thinking in geometry. Well, it really worked out awesome because she was doing Jacob's Geometry at the same time that she was doing a class called Logic. Well, we ended up taking Logic through a company called Roman Roads. They did an introductory and intermediate logic class online, and she was with 3 other students with the teacher who lived in Idaho, and they all were on a Zoom call every week, and they would do their work and then discuss it. And that was a really awesome teacher. I really liked that guy. And she met a good friend in that class. So she took geometry and logic together. Well, at the beginning of this year, it was then, for 10th grade, going to be Algebra 2. Again, she's ahead, but that doesn't mean that it's her favorite subject. And it doesn't mean she's a math genius. It just means that she's getting the work done. I decided to put her in a thing called stewardship math, and it's basically life stuff. It's checkbooks, interest, mortgage, all of those things that you need to know as an adult. And then I sold a book to somebody, some science curriculum stuff to somebody out of South Fort Worth. And they were saying that their daughters went to the local community college here and that they were taking math at this local community college and they had Algebra 2. And I was like, what? You mean a teacher could teach this for me? Oh my goodness. So it's a homeschool class. It's not a college class. It's a homeschool class at our local community college. We go there every Monday. So if you see my other videos where I'm talking in my car, it's because I'm sitting there waiting because it's a 3-hour class and I don't feel like driving home. Well, she's going to get a full year credit for that. So she's going to have all of Algebra 2 done in this semester. And then she'll have 11th and 12th grade to go. And we haven't really decided yet what we're going to do for her math because she doesn't fully know yet what she wants to do for a career. All right, when it comes to language arts, I'm going to be full transparent here. That's my worst subject teaching her. And the reason being is because when you have an only child, nobody tells you that they take everything that you say as a criticism. No matter how sweet you say it, no matter how constructive you say it, no matter how rationalizing you say it, no matter what, they can take it offensive. Oh, okay, so that's been a hard subject for me to teach. She did take high school composition in 9th grade online. This year, she has been taking a book that has videos. It is called Byline. I will find a logo and put it right here. I actually kind of like it. It's for students that want to kind of write their own magazine. She hasn't been fully doing everything. Again, I'm really bad at staying on her because when you have arguments with your female teenage child, you avoid conversations about stuff. We're having so many life conversations every day that has been falling beside. Now, she did analytical grammar. There's 2 levels of it. She did both of those levels. She's positively getting way more grammar than most kids because she's in her 4th year of Latin. She's going to be perfectly fine. That's another thing. When you homeschool, there's so many opportunities to feel like you're failing, but there's also opportunities to actually see that you're doing a great job. And so I'm just going to tell you right now, you're doing a great job. Just the fact that you're actually sitting and listening and taking in information where somebody else might be able to trigger some thinking for you. Because again, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you, though, to go research it. I'm going to tell you to go look at other companies. Don't just follow everybody and go do Alpha Omega or go do BJU Press or go do Sunlight or go do Memoria Press, go do Veritas Press, go do an online accredited school. Don't follow every single thing somebody else decides that is best for their child or their children. Okay, because Sunlight works really well if you have multiple aged children because you can read the same books and just ask them different level questions. So you can buy 1 year's worth of curriculum and teach it to actually 2 different age categories. So that's a benefit to families with a lot of kids. So but my point would be that always do your own research. And seriously, if you can get to a homeschool convention, please go to one because it will change your life. You will see so many new things that you haven't even thought of. It will also, you'll hear speakers like say things and you'll relate to it and go, oh, I'm normal. Really, you have to hear it. You have to hear that you're normal. And guess what? You aren't going to like it every day. No. You might not like it for a whole week at a time. But let me tell you, no matter what reason you homeschool, if you're legitimately doing it, I am totally against these families that go, I'm going to homeschool my kid, yank them out of public school, and then they never buy them a book. Oh my goodness, don't get me onto a soapbox about that because they are just hurting their child, and I just ache for that child because there's so much opportunity out there for parents to provide an education for their children, to see what their kids like, to go at their kids' pace. Not every kid's behind. Not every kid that homeschools got into it because they were behind. Parents are making choices every single day to provide a better opportunity for their child to shine. These opportunities exist in a free capitalistic society. We can go buy what we want. Now, you have to go and look at what your state's requirements are, and all of us have different criteria that we have to meet. Not everybody chooses homeschooling because they think they can do it. They choose it for their child. Most moms will tell you in the beginning they didn't think they could do it. Now, I went into it knowing I could do it. It was about a year later. No, I'd say 3rd grade. I was like, am I doing the right thing? It hit me later. It didn't hit me in the beginning because seriously, 1st and 2nd grade is easy. But it was later that I started to question what I was doing, started to question whether she was even getting anything. And my husband always came back and supported me, and always he has allowed me to do research and buy things. Now, I will say this. Facebook Marketplace has a couple of homeschool curriculum groups where you can buy stuff and sell it. Buy stuff and sell it. And that's what I have done. Now, we are in a history curriculum right now that is actually a 6-year program. It's called Omnibus, and it is through Veritas Press. The first 3 years, 7th through 9th grade, you have the option of teaching it yourself, or you can do self-paced, which is through the book and then online watching videos, and then you could do it online with a teacher. The last 3 years, the only 2 ways you can do it is teach it yourself or online with a teacher. I chose very early on, like in 5th grade, I wanted her to do Omnibus. But get this, I forgot. I forgot all about it. Went to a homeschool convention in 6th grade. Didn't even think about it. Went to a homeschool in March during her 7th grade year. What time does school start? September. Yeah, I went in March. And I realized, I walked through the expo and saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to start this year. Again, I'm a box checker. I wanted to start it on time. In my lightning fast mind, I said, well, we're still doing it. I don't care. We're just going to rush. Oh my God, the work was so hard. It was so crazy. Okay. This stuff is so dang hard. She was reading stuff that I've never read in my life. Now, I will say this. And we learned so much. And I was like, wow, I really love this. So for the first year, I watched every single video and I read every single book with her because I wanted to verify for myself that this was actually my dream come true when it came to educating her with history. Oh my goodness. In my opinion, for our family, that is the best curriculum choice I have made this entire time. So she is actually finishing up the 3rd year this week. So what are we in? March of 10th grade. She started in September of 10th grade, year 4. So she's been doubling up on 3 and 4 since September. And the reason we're not avoiding any of the books, because some families do that. They feel pressured. It's not good for their family, and they make the executive choice that they're not going to do every single book. I'm not like that. My personality is not like that. And I find full value in what she's learning. It's an amazing program. And I felt that there was more value in having her complete it than skipping books. That's been my choice. Bible, basically, that's our family. Not everybody's going to do Bible or theology, but our family does Bible. And I've been very pleased with the things I found. And I will say this, I wasn't saved as a child. I was raised by a Christian mom, but she never really practiced any of that. So I didn't get saved till I was 31 years old. But knowing that I didn't grow up with it and that I wanted my child to grow up with it, when she went into school, that was something that I actually learned a lot because I was reading stories that I never got to read when I was a kid because we didn't go to church. And so that's just for our family, not every family that homeschools. That's another cool thing about homeschooling is you don't have to be a Christian to homeschool. It's not geared just for Christians. There's a whole lot of Christian curriculum out there, but there's also a whole lot of secular curriculum out there because this isn't about being a Christian. It isn't about choosing to homeschool your kids and pull your kids out of a government-based public school system. No, it's about each family deciding for what they want for their children's education. And if it's based on just getting better education, there's no political anything in that, and there's no religious anything in that. It just probably started with a lot of Christian companies, but I have seen over the last probably 3 or 4 years, there's a whole lot more available curriculum out there for families that aren't looking for, a whole bunch of God or Jesus or religion in the curriculums. So just know that if you're watching this, you have options too. If you don't want God in all parts of your science and your math and your language arts and your history and all that, if that's your choice, then you have options. Just know that. For science, I'm going to tell you guys, all through the entire time of school and probably through the end, we will have used the company called Apologia. It is a Christian-based company. They have some of the most amazing books. And those are other books that we loved actually reading together as a family too. Now, a lot of the curriculums that you can purchase to use on your own, a lot of co-ops actually use these curriculums to then teach in a co-op environment. So next year she will be online in Omnibus 5, which is going to be that history, it's literature and theology. And then for the summer, she is taking another piece of Omnibus 4. So she's got a 6-week class for more history. Again, she loves this stuff. And then the other online class that I put her in for next year is Composition 2. Because like I said, that's the weak spot in my armor of educating my child. And I want to make sure that she is moving forward and able to communicate in writing. We are probably going to put her in a Spanish class. I would like for her to do a Spanish class online so that she can actually verbally say the words versus just do it out of a book. I don't think that she will retain much of it. I think that going from Latin into Spanish is going to be easy. And I remembered, I loved Spanish class. What was the language that you took? Comment below. Go ahead and tell me, have you thought about homeschooling? This is going to be what we do for her senior year. When we leave out, so I'm going to wrap this up. When we leave out and go mobile in an RV and start traveling the country, she will be at the beginning of her senior year. And you might think, oh my gosh, she's going to miss prom? Oh my gosh, she's going to miss this? She's going to miss that? Yeah, she's already been missing all of that stuff and she doesn't care. But you know what? It's okay. Our society has told us that that's important, but it isn't important for everybody. And for some people, it brings up a lot of anxiety because they didn't get asked, or they don't have enough money to buy the dress they want, or they don't get to go out with their friends because they all go to a real nice restaurant ahead of time. Sometimes there can be anxiety based around prom. We are allowing her to choose a few areas that we go to during her senior year. One of the things that all three of us, I'm kind of thankful she wants to do this, but all three of us want to spend like 6 months in the Northeast. Now, is that going to be expensive for an RV? That's why we're going to get a composting toilet and live with solar. We're going to do everything we can so that we can stay on BLM land or, just float around. Now, is it going to be harder to travel in the RV in the Northeast? Yes, I recognize all of those things. But the point of this video is homeschooling. And I would love to be able to, my goodness, could you imagine spending 6 weeks in Washington and just going to every single museum there? Like as a young adult, 17 years old, to go and get to see every single museum? Oh my gosh. Now, if you can see, if you have kind of picked up, I love education. Oh my gosh, if I could be in school right now, I would. I love education. My husband loves education too. He loves to read. You've heard me talk in my other videos that the biggest problem is going to be us getting rid of our books. The biggest thing is that we're wanting to experience these things too. So I'm kind of excited that she wants to go to the Northeast. Woo, because we want to go, Maybe I would have tried to persuade her anyways. But, all right, if you have any questions, I recognize this has been a really, really long video. And if you've gotten all the way to the end here, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you. There are some people that do want to know what others have done when it comes to homeschooling. And I hope that I have spelled it out for you so that you can see, number one, you can change companies in the middle of the year. Number two, you can do multiple companies. You don't have to follow what everybody else does. Number three, go to homeschool conventions because they are the most impactful on you as the teacher. Number four, trust that you're doing the right thing. You're going to be okay. And this too will pass, right? This hard day is going to pass. And then when you see your child's eyes light up, when they see a caterpillar and their brain is just churning all that education and that learning, oh my gosh, it just makes it all worth it. And then to top it all off, to live in an RV and get to see the country and to absorb that information in as a child, that is just like mind-blowing. The opportunities available to children today are out there, but the parents have to make the choices. So I hope that you're encouraged through this video. I hope that you hear things that maybe encourage you to look into something else. Maybe you hear some company names you want to look into. Maybe you hear me tell you you can do it, and then you feel like you can do it. So I hope that you are encouraged, and I hope that you learned something. I hope that you enjoyed this video. It was long and talkative. If you've lasted this long, thank you so much. Y'all have a good day. Bye.